Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Grande Gang TV. Here at Grande Gang, it's our mission to inspire you to get the most out of life and do things grande, meaning big in Spanish. We here at Grande Gang TV, we bring on guests to inspire you and help to provide you with new perspective in life, so that you can continue to live grande and just get the most out of life. And so today here we have the privilege of speaking to Miss Tara, the CEO and founder of ForStackersOnly.com, of one of probably the most well-rounded women you'll ever meet as far as business, life knowledge. This is a woman who's very impactful to me personally. She's a big reason of why Grande Gang is a thing. A lot of her knowledge and information has put me in a position to be able to execute, and that's really always her thing. So that's really what I learned from her. So hopefully you can take away some of that execution today. We're going to ask her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about herself.
Hello, hello. How we doing today? My name is Tara, as what he said before. I do a lot, so I kind of don't really say, oh, I'm this or I'm that. But I work in the film industry. I'm also a real estate investor, all around hustler. I just have a really keen eye for hustling and a keen eye for investments and other things like that. So I just try to do what works for me and try to help other people along my journey.
And you do reach a lot of people. In my experience, I've a lot of my friends I met off Twitter. We all kind of look up to you, so you definitely do a great job of influencing people.
Well, thank you.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. When whenever I say somebody impacts me, I really do mean that. And I really do kind of, think about the things that you and Hugo say, and it really kind of keeps me on track sometimes, and it keeps me disciplined because Twitter's where I spend most of my time. So it's nothing.
It's so crazy because like in another world, I think like Hugo is like a cousin of mine or like a brother of mine or something. Because it's wild because we have the same mindset and we say a lot of the same things. And like I equate a lot of things back to hustling and like different scenarios that I grew up in, and he does the same thing. And so we always like, even when I first came up with the whole for stackers only, and I talked to him, like we were all kind of on like the same page, and I was like, yo, this is crazy that you did, stack the SDL stack on lag, and you got everybody stacking their money and everything. And I started FSO and got everybody on the knowledge and like made it free, and we kind of just helped promote each other, you know. And just it just turned out to be. I mean, I always knew it was going to be like a really big thing because we already had a lot of people kind of like following and
Hmm.
kind of joining in, but I didn't realize, FSO was going to get this big this fast. I think in the first year, first 12 months, we had like 11 or 13 million individual hits to the website.
Wow.
Uh, Over 10,000 stackers. It's like 11,000 people on FSO right now.
Oh wow.
Um, which is crazy because everybody that's on FSO came from Twitter, and to have 11,000 people, which is half of my followers, on my site, it's just pretty crazy. It's amazing actually.
That's really amazing. That's a 50% conversion rate, and that's damn near unheard of. It's great that you've been able to build such an encompassing brand, such a brand that's been able to impact so many people, and that's why I don't that's why I make it a habit to big up you guys, because I think sometimes, because even with me being a young successful person, I know you guys may kind of forget about
How old
your
are you,
true
Grande?
impact on people. 19.
For real?
Yeah.
I'd be just so in shock when people say they're like 18 or 19 and they like follow me and stuff. How did y'all find me?
I was just through Hugo, I think I was just on Twitter one day, and I saw he retweeted something, and it was you saying something. You was getting on somebody's ass. It was some life lesson, and I was just like, you know what? I like the way you think. I like the way you think, because I
So did
grew up.
you seen the thread the other day then about anybody 18 to 21?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I peep all those threads that you put out. I look at them. I catalog the information. I'm on all that shit. Like I want to do it all. Like I'm trying to get into. Like I got the mobile home book from you like last month, so I'm trying to get into it. Hopefully by the end of this quarter, go ahead and get that started, and
Yeah,
then
but don't let the mobile homes like limit you.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because people always tell me like I want to get into mobile homes, I want to focus on mobile homes, da, 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 da. And it's a great thing to focus on. But what I learned from being in mobile homes is it helps you get out in the country and you see more. That's like recently I got more into like land deals. Shout out to P, my girl P. I got into land deals because of her, and being already in the mobile home industry and knowing the country like the back of my hand, because I've been out there and I was always looking at these mobile home parks, and I was always
Mm-hmm.
just like traveling out to different zip codes. It helped me in my regular real estate game, because with mobile homes, it's hard to find people and it's hard to figure out who's the owners, because there's no
Mm-hmm.
property records or tax records. I mean, they're tax records, but they're harder to find. They're not just
Yeah, I
like
was
up in
reading that in
public.
the book. They're more
Hmm.
like cars. Like they're more like cars
Yeah, it's
now.
like trying to find the owner of a car, and the car is parked in the back of a Walmart parking lot, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so it forces you to be a lot more resourceful, and it forces you to kind of dig a little bit deeper, which kind of made me better at, just looking for regular single family homes or looking for land or anything like that. But definitely, definitely once you read it and you realize, okay, this is what I want to do, you can get into mobile homes, but still keep that door open, because you're like, now I got this knowledge. I can always use it on other things. Like I apply that to every part of my life. You probably know that. Like knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you can be. I when I got into like my home inspector's license last summer, the first thing I did was look at how to inspect mobile homes. Do I want to be a mobile home inspector? Not really. I did it because I wanted to be able to be better at inspecting the homes that I was going to be purchasing, so I can make a better offer.
Yep. And it's all about what I found in my experience. It's all about vertically integratable skills. So like
Mm-hmm.
Ari's big on that. She really I've heard that concept before in my business dealings, but I never really understood it. And Ari really explained it well to me. It's just getting skills that will help you be better at the things you're already good at, because you can always be better at something.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you master one thing, the better, and the better you'll be at mastering other things. And also you may even master a lot things faster, because
Mm-hmm.
you took the time to really devote yourself to one skill, because it's about building discipline. And that way
Yeah.
you approach every skill the same. You have about the same approach. You know how you're going to get to it, and you just do it. That's
Yep.
what life is about. And that's why on this podcast I want to bring so many people like yourself that embody this, because that's really what I want the listeners to really take home is: life is what you make it. If you want something out of life, all you have to do is go get it. And the way you go get it is by discipline, hard work, and understanding what you're doing and how you're doing it, acquiring knowledge. And and that's exactly why I wanted you on here, because believe me, if they're not gonna understand anything, they're gonna understand the value of knowledge and hard
Mm-hmm.
work.
Because I mean, like a lot of people say, like you do this, you do that, you do everything, right? And people don't realize that everything I do ties into everything else. It all comes back full circle, or everything that I've learned has helped me benefit me in like my individual life. Like me, getting a dealer's license and trying to learn the car industry was not so I could sell more cars and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm gonna flip box trucks and things like that. And yeah, I'm gonna, I've done it before, but it's like it wasn't for that. It was for me personally, because I want to know, the car industry. I want to know that what I'm paying is a good deal, you
Just
know,
because you want to know, like I feel
just because I want to know. Yeah, just
we
because I
really
want to
live in a
know.
generation like a lot of people are so used to instant gratification. Shout out Big Hugo, you feel me?
Hmm.
Instant gratification is a disease, because everybody just like, damn, just tell me what I need to do to make some money. And one thing I learned from following behind you guys, like, and learning about stocks and investing is, bro, you really got to take the time to learn this shit. If you really want to
Hmm.
do it, this is not something that you can read an article on and just magically get good at. Like nobody
Yep.
does it like that. Like don't believe that shit. They're lying to you if they say that.
Everything that I'm good at, I've been doing for years.
Yeah, and you just and I tell people a lot of times the reason why it's important to build discipline is because you'll find that you learn the same lesson from doing some shit 6 years ago than you learn from doing something that you did now, because it was the same in principle. The principle of what you were doing was the same, and since you've already been through it before, you know exactly what to do and exactly how to go about it, and that's what's important.
Yeah. It's like when you do things repetitively. One thing I liked about the Carter 3 documentary, I don't know if you've ever seen that Carter 3 documentary from Lil Wayne. And there's a part in the documentary where he talks about repetition. He goes repetition, 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 repetition. He just keeps repeating it, and like that. That's how you become better. I forgot the actual quote, but he keeps repeating repetition, repetition, repetition,
Mm-hmm.
and basically like to drill into your head. That is how you become better. You know what I'm saying? And when he said that, it kind of like it really stuck with me.
Mm.
He says repetition is the father of learning. That's what he said. He said repetition, repetition, repetition. Repetition is the father of learning. And like when you do something repeatedly, it sticks with you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It
like
becomes a
muscle memory.
habit. Yep, it becomes
Hmm.
a habit. And that's what a lot of people miss out in, like, building discipline. They're like, well, how can I build discipline? You build healthy habits. So, for example, one good exercise to help build discipline on a small scale: every day you wake
Hmm.
up, stretch, drink water, make your bed, in that order. Do that every day for 30 days. And I guarantee you'll notice that you'll have greater overall self discipline, because it's all about the repetition of training
Hmm.
yourself to do something when it's time to do it. You're getting out of procrastination. That's going to help with your anxiety. Coming from somebody with anxiety, it's going to help with your execution. It's going to help with your business. It's going to help with clarity. It's just going to help you navigate life easier. And while we're talking about this, a lot of people out there aren't, like I said, aren't as familiar with you. Even though you may be, we may have a following on the Twitter space. I feel like a lot of our listeners for the first time aren't really too familiar with us on Twitter. Where did you learn these foundations of principles within the world? Like, where did you really start? You mentioned the Carter 3, so I imagine that's like a blimp on the timeline.
Where did I start to become? Let's see. One, my family is Chinese Jamaican. I have three Jamaican grandparents and one Chinese grandparent. So it's like ingrained in
Allah,
my
Allah.
DNA. So it's like it's not something that it was like, when did you start? It was like it started at like birth. Like they're like, my father is the same exact way. He doesn't give up. He's very, very like, my father is very stern. I'm more of a jokester. So he's very, very serious, but he's me,
Hmm.
but a serious me. Like he's always on top of his stuff. He's always working, da 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 da, right?
Hmm.
You know, my it just I don't know. My family is like that. I'm not gonna say every family member is like that. For the most part, like my family is like,
But it's like a reoccurring theme in the family. Like, everybody in some way, shape, or form, like, they get to it.
well, let's say, okay, so there's no slackers in my family. I'll put it like
Hmm.
that, right? But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say everybody in my family is exactly like me on some like
Yeah, yeah, no, no.
crazy on a
I mean, like,
crazy tip.
in their own way. You know what I'm saying? In their
Yeah,
own
in their
individual
own,
way,
yeah, in their own
they
way, yeah, in their
pursue
own
their
way.
passion to.
Because people look at me as like the craziest one in the family. Like, okay, yeah, there's Tara, she go hard, like
I can definitely
she.
see that. I can see that.
But and then there's like, my grandmother is the same way, refuses to retire. But everybody's not like that. But there are no like slackers in my family. My cousin is exactly like me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
So,
it just depends on like who you talking to.
exactly. But I mean, that's good that you have such strong roots and such a strong family, and people that maybe they can't relate exactly to what you're doing, because, like you say, you might be they think you might be the crazy one, but you have people that you have a strong base of people that are hardworking, because it seems like a lot of times in the world, like, a lot of people, they're really kind of the first in their family or the only one in their family, especially in the American community. Like, it's kind of it's hard to find those good strong roots. So
Hmm.
it's got to be
Yeah,
a
I mean,
mixture of
like,
those.
let's see. There's a lot of firsts for my family, I would say. There's not a lot of people in my family like had a lot growing up. So let's the little that they do have, they worked really, really hard from it. They came here from another country and were able to like buy a house and at least, put their kids in a better neighborhood than what they would have had back home, right?
Hmm.
And so for me to do the things that I'm doing, yeah, it's a first on a lot of scales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But my
I
grandmother,
I
my
agree with
grandmother's
you.
already been heavy and she's already been in real estate because she bought a fourplex in New York, and
Oh wow.
she's been a landlord since like the 80s or the early 90s.
Oh wow, that's cool as hell. So you've already, so you have a family member that's been in the real estate for what, about 50 years now?
50 years. No, let's see. Like I want to say my grandmother bought that in like 1990.
Oh, in 1990. Okay.
And then let's see, my uncle, he is heavy in real estate. He has a couple multifamilies in Boston, downtown Boston.
Oh wow. Okay.
So those are the only two people in my family that are like real estate, And then there's my
Hmm.
aunt. She is the one that really kind of got me into real estate, and she's a real estate broker. But out of that, there's like everybody else is kind of just like, as far as real estate goes, they bought a house, like a personal house.
Yeah, but not
Nobody in my
as
family is in the
commercial.
film industry. Yeah, nobody in my family is in the film industry. Like a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is kind of like newer. I mean, mobile homes is old, but it's not really something that they would have been invested in.
Hmm.
And so same with like my FSO and like having an online store, e-commerce store, and running a brand, and that in that aspect, that's all new.
Yeah, like that's how it is for me. Like in my family, I'm the eldest of six kids, but my situation is super weird. So like the owning a business period is just something that's foreign. Like both my parents are hard workers, but they're both career people. So they've
Hmm.
they've always been hustlers, you know what I'm saying? But it got to a point to where my career, they worked hard enough in their careers to where that's all they had to do was work their career and then try and enjoy their time off. So the whole being an entrepreneur thing is new to me because we've always been a hustling family. Like my grandma still is the candy lady. Gloria have everything from hot snack cakes to beer to hot pickles to pig feet
Hmm.
to all that. So we definitely just get to it, but like you said, a lot of this is just new. Like it's just new, especially a clothing brand. Like my
Hmm.
family, we're more workers, and it's kind of odd to see me, especially, become the artistic one. Like I have really an apparel oriented business, and that's not really something anybody in my family would do. My auntie, she knits, like she crochets for people, so I guess that counts as well. But
Hmm.
nothing like you said, like e-commerce, nothing of the sort.
Yeah, it's all new. A lot of the things that I do are pretty new to my family. Like telling my grandmother, like, oh, grandma, like I wrote a book, and I sold a lot, and I told her how
Hmm.
much I sold, and she was like, wait, what? Like that's somebody's like yearly salary, and you wrote that? And I'm like, yeah, like the first person in my book, to have something like that. So I guess there's a lot of firsts.
Hmm.
Let's see. My sister, she went to real estate school. She didn't go to a traditional 4-year college. My mom, I think my mom has like an associate's degree. My dad went to community college. So you can say I'm the first one in that lineage, like that went to a 4-year school, and I'm about to finish here soon.
Yeah, same. I'm the first one to. My mom was going, but then she got pregnant, and then my dad was in the military, so I'm the
Yeah, a lot of
first
people,
to.
my
Yeah.
yeah, not the same. Yeah, same, kind of the same situation. A
Hmm.
lot of people in my family have like licenses or certs, and
Yeah. Instead of
community.
instead of
Instead, there's nobody.
4 year
Yeah, as far as
degrees.
traditional degrees, there's
Yeah.
not many people. I don't think there's anybody that has a traditional degree. Everybody went to like a trade school. It was just, I mean, I push trade schools. I love trade schools. You can make a
Oh
lot of money.
yeah, big. Like I would even ask you. I wanted to ask you. Do you know anything extra about the? You said your. I can't remember which family member. I think you said your cousin or your aunt. They went to real estate school. Do you know anything about that? Could you elaborate on that?
So my sister went to real estate
Oh, your
school, and
sister. Okay.
my aunt went to real estate school as well. I can't really elaborate on that because I don't know too much
Hmm.
past. I want to say my sister went. No, I forgot where she went, but you go through like a school. don't quote me on this. I don't know anything about getting a
Hmm.
real estate license because I have avoided it. But I'm pretty sure you can take different courses like online or in person, and then you kind of study for the test.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um, there's not. I don't think there's like a There's state required classes. Like you have to take like a required hour of classes. I think.
Yeah, like a set number, but there's no like set curriculum.
Yeah, there's not like a set place where you have to
Okay.
go. Um, and then they have a licensing exam, I
Okay.
believe. Don't quote me on any of this. I mean, I'm an investor. I don't want like a real estate license, so I've always never looked at this.
Uh, no,
I'm just
but
going off of what I remember when my sister was getting her license. I just remember
uh,
her studying a lot at the house and like
it's no
going to
worries,
like study
man.
sessions.
It's no worries at all. I just want to get the knowledge out there for the listeners because I'm a big advocate for trade schools too. Because like you said, growing up, my mom and my dad, they went back. My dad is going back to school while he's in the military, but you know they do fine without degrees. So I push trade school because the reality of it is a lot of people, you could put yourself in a better position if you were to go to a
Hmm.
trade school for 2 years. Like even with me, I just graduated high school a couple years ago. Not even, it'll be 2 years ago in June. So really like about a year and a half. So I have a classmate that is already working a job. Like he already has an HVAC job in Hampton Roads, like immediately
Hmm.
after graduation.
Cause yeah, you can HVAC at I want to say Georgia Perimeter College, which is now Georgia State. It used to be like a 6 month program. No, no, not Georgia GPC. Uh, the Tech College, Atlanta Tech.
Hmm.
It is like a 6 month program.
Wow.
So it's not that long. As far as like those kind of trade schools, I think those are some of the best programs
He,
there
he,
are,
he went
and
to a
a
community
lot of them are
college.
free.
He went to our
Yeah, a lot
local
of them are
community
free.
college.
Yeah, and a lot of them are free.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Like
He knows who he is.
Georgia Piedmont here in Georgia, Georgia Piedmont College has a whole bunch of tuition free programs. They teach you like automotive repair and like all this other stuff, and they're
Hmm.
all tuition free.
Oh wow,
It's
they're
just
all
that
tuition
a
free.
lot of, yeah, it's just a lot of people don't know about them and they don't look into them. Like if I wanted to become a real estate agent, I would hop on Google right now and be like, how to become a licensed real estate agent in the state of Georgia. And then usually the Georgia licensing website will pop up for, I forgot what divisions it is, but they handle all the licenses for like real estate professionals and insurance agents and every other license you can get with the state, you know?
Okay, yeah, it's like
And
one word.
it's like it's like one office that has like two or three different divisions. Like
Okay.
insurance has its own division and they license all the insurance agents and adjusters. Then there's like another license office, like the mobile home department has mobile, like the installer license you can get, depending on what state you have, it's different licenses. Real estate licenses. My mind is blanking. There's so many other licenses you can get within the state that you find on these websites. It just depends on what state you live in because every state is different on how they structure their websites.
Hmm.
But you just go on the website and it'll say like I want to say like resident agent, resident adjuster or something like that for the state of Georgia. And then what I suggest for everybody, if you're trying to figure something out, just work backwards. It says, okay, well, go to the website, Google how to become an insurance agent or how to become an insurance adjuster or, how to become this, right?
Hmm. Like
And it'll give
just
you,
look for the information.
yeah. And then as soon as you find a website, or there's usually like WikiHow or
Hmm.
how to, and it'll give you a
Yeah,
step
it's
by
like
step.
howto.com with the
Yeah, and
pictures
then
and
you go
shit.
to that state website, and usually the state website has an application, and just about every application I've ever got from the state of Georgia has a requirements page, and it'll
Hmm.
tell you exactly what you need to get that application passed, whether it's an application to get a license, whether it's an application to get a gun license, an application to get a permit. On the front page of that application, and I'm sure Georgia isn't the only state that does this, it'll tell you everything you need. Like when the car dealer's license,
Hmm.
it told, like you need to have this, you need to have that, you need to have a lot, you need to have an office that you can be visited at, you need to have a landline. It told you everything you need to become to get your dealer's license in the state of Georgia so you can go buy cars from auctions. All
So
listed right there on the application.
so for those of y'all
So
in Georgia, please, take that information. Excuse me, Tara, I don't mean to cut you off.
no,
But
you all good.
please take heed to that information. I'll probably end up linking the
No,
website in the description. Um,
not just door. No, no. Like, look, don't create lazy people. Don't create lazy people. It's
Damn,
very simple.
she said y'all got to get it out the mud.
It's very simple and it's very easy. All they have to do is listen. You go to your state. You type in whatever state you live in. If you live in, let's say you live in Nevada, right? You type in Nevada. What else do you want to figure out about Nevada? Let's say you want to get a gun license in Nevada. You say Nevada gun license application, right? You type that into Google. I guarantee you within the first 5 results, there's going to be an official state or, website, a federal or state website that tells you everything you need to do. For the most part, I haven't really had an application or something like that, a form that I pull up and there's not some form of instruction. Even with the mobile homes, there's an instruction on how to become a mobile home installer, and they tell you you got to take a certain amount of hours of classes and da 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 whatever. It tells you everything. So if they want to know, okay, how do I get my license to become a real estate agent in my state? You need to go California real estate agent license, and then you can put application at the end if you want to get specific, or you can just say how to get my California real estate agent license, and then
Mhm.
you're going to see government pages. The reason why I tell you don't create lazy people is because the more links these people click, the more they figure it out, you know?
Yeah,
You see
it's
what I'm
the
saying?
process
If
of
you
doing it.
it, yeah, if you just tell somebody exactly, you know, give them down to the last link, they're never going to look at anything else. And when they don't look at anything else, they might not realize that the PDF that you sent them was the application from 2 years ago that is no longer valid. There's a new application, but if they would have check the website, because this happens,
Yeah.
and people be like, "Hey, can you send me that application that you used?" And I used it a year and a half ago, and I'll send it to them, and they're like, "Yo, you gave me the wrong application." I'm like, "Well, if you would have never asked me, you just went on the website yourself and looked. I
Exactly.
didn't know there was an updated application." You know what I'm
Due
saying?
diligence.
And
Due
so
diligence.
it's not really it's not really trying to gatekeep or anything. We're giving you the information. It's just telling you like, yo, you got to go do the work for yourself. You got to go on your state's website and get familiar with dealing with your state sites.
Because
If
you're
you
gonna
want to
have
be
to
a
do
big,
it in your dealings.
you're
Like
yeah,
that's what people think to forget. Like it's not like high school. You're not gonna, learn this information and then never use it again. No, you're gonna have to continuously go to this website to
yeah.
apply for
If you
permits and all
exactly,
these
if you
other
want to
things.
be a business owner, you know, um, yeah, later on down the line, hire somebody to do that shit. But you got to learn how to maneuver the Secretary of State's website. Plain and simple. If you want to run a business in your state, you got to know how to work the Department of Revenue website. It's just, those are things that because if you're going to pay taxes, state taxes, in the state of Georgia, we have the Georgia DOR. That's the Department of Revenue. I know exactly where that building is. I know how to get there. I know what floor to go to that deals with small businesses and everything. That's just because, like, if you're a small business owner, these are things that you need to know so you can put yourself in
Because
a
it
better position to
it's a part
succeed.
of your business. It's a part of your
It
business.
is. It
It's a
is.
part of your
And,
business.
like, the way I look at it, I'm like, look, y'all know everything about everybody else, right? You got all the time in the world
Hmm.
to follow everybody on Instagram, follow everybody on Twitter. Shit, go follow the Georgia Department of Revenue's Twitter page. They don't
Go get
update
some
it.
updates about an application waiver.
There you go. And like I tell people, and they're like, "Oh, you just being sarcastic." I'm like, no. Like the way I had to learn is because I had to immerse myself in that. Like I started getting on the Secretary of State's website. I started getting on the Division of Housing and Urban Housing and Development. I forgot the full name of that website, but basically they deal with all things real estate and housing.
Hmm.
And it's how you learn about mobile homes and what are the laws and different things for your state. And I just had to start going to different websites when I got into real estate. I had to get on different counties have different property tax websites. So depending on what county you're in, you have to find, like, if it's Fulton County, DeKalb County, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, Henry County, Clayco. You got to find out which county you're in, and you have to figure out their county website, and then you have to go. If it's some counties say property search, some counties say record search, Some counties say parcel search. Some counties will just have an owner search, or some counties will just say search, and then you click on the search button, and then you can pick your parameter as like you want to search by owner, search by address, search by parcel number. And the only reason I know this is because I did it myself, you know? And when people are like, well, how do I do this? I'm like, I know you're not actually trying, because if you actually try, you would figure it out. You would figure out that if you look up you just go look property records Atlanta, and it'll tell you if you're looking up a property in the city of Atlanta, you have to know, is that property in DeKalb County or is that property in Fulton County?
Like that's stuff
If
that you have to know when you go to make your business deal, because
Yeah, but this is just something
there's
I
nobody you
I, I
can
figured
blame.
out while I was looking for properties and looking for
Hmm.
owners and trying to crunch numbers and stuff like that. And people are like, "Well, how do you know this? How do you know that they pay taxes?" I'm like, "Look, if you're actually trying to do your due diligence, right? You
Hmm.
would know after about maybe I would say, I'm going to be generous for people and say 5 minutes, but maybe after about a 60 seconds of googling, you will figure out that in order to find the property records for a house in the state of Georgia, it's going to fall up under the county website, right?
Hmm. And you
So
wouldn't
if you just
know
type in
if you did it
property
yourself.
records, yeah, you would know if you did it yourself, like how to find the property records for a house in Atlanta, and it'll tell you like you got to go to this site. How do you find the property tax records? Like most sites in the state of Georgia, on the county website, they have a link that says taxes or property taxes, right?
Hmm.
When you click that, it'll tell you all the tax information on the house. If they're behind, when the last time they paid their
The
taxes, when they got
liens
their
and
tax bill, everything. It'll tell you everything right there. So that's why I always get people. I'm like, yo, that's why I'm always yelling about Google, and stop asking first page Google questions, because you're not actually doing the work. You put more effort into typing out that tweet and asking that person about it than you actually did
literally, exactly.
yourself.
Literally, by the
Be,
time they could respond, you could have looked it up and read it for yourself. Like, think of most people
yeah,
don't think about that. Think about that if you're listening. Think about when you type a tweet, it's take you about 30 seconds to type the tweet. It's going to take them about anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes to see it on average. You could have typed that
hmm
into Google and looked it
and
up.
then respond to. You could have already typed it and been on with the rest of your life. You
And
wasted
you
time.
you could have found out double that information in that same time. You wasting time
Look,
because you depending on what
I
somebody else say. And why would you
yeah,
even take somebody
this
else's
happened
word
to me the
for
other
it?
day. Happened to me the other day. I said, I'm watching. There's keywords in this, right?
Hmm.
I'm watching a new samurai documentary, a Japanese samurai documentary on Netflix. 3 people asked me for the name of it and the link. I literally said, I'm watching
A
a
new
new
samurai
Japanese samurai
on Netflix.
documentary on Netflix. If you type in Japanese samurai documentary and you have a Netflix account, there is a 99% chance it's going to be in the top row.
Mhm. And people think that's smug or it's whatever, but you also
No,
gotta think, man, sometimes people just don't want to pull out a damn link to everything, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm watching on Netflix, it's on the fucking PS4. So you want
no,
to
and
type
I'm gonna
in.
tell you why I didn't like it, why I don't do this, right?
Hmm.
Because one time I did that, it was like 5 people, 6 people asked me for the link, right? I answered one person, the rest of them got mad and kept asking, and I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this shit no more. Because now I feel bad if I don't
Hey
individually
yo.
go tell everybody what the link is, right? Because most people don't use Twitter how we use Twitter, right? If I click on a tweet, I'm gonna look under the tweet. I'm gonna click on the quote tweets, and I'm gonna do my own due diligence. It's like if I see an interesting conversation, like people talking about, they're like perfect example. 2 months ago, people were talking about NFTs. 2 months ago, I follow a lot of people like deep in crypto and trading Twitter. They was on NFTs
Hmm.
back in January, right? I clicked on a tweet, and in 5 minutes, and a couple of quote tweets, and looking through their replies, and click on the website that he gave the other dude, I figured out what an NFT was and like what they were talking about and all that, right?
And if you want to know
And
what
I'm
an
like,
NFT is, go look that shit up.
go look that shit up. NFT, right? So I'm like, okay, why don't people use Twitter in this way? I don't understand it. Like y'all are nosy about everything else, but you're not like nosy about this. Like be nosy about some knowledge, yo. Be nosy about information. Like look at people's tweets when they talk. When somebody talks about something, or somebody says, yo, that's crazy, or they be like, yo, I didn't know that, right? Or somebody will tweet like, man,
Hmm.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. I will go back, click on their profile, and look at their timeline. And it's usually
Yeah,
like a
just to see.
just it's usually like a retweet or something. And like that's Twitter. That's why your pages are public. It's like a
That's the
public
point.
display.
You learn
You,
so much. It's a public discussion board, bro, to teach you perspective, and that's like all of this that we're talking about is really just examples of your journey, bro. Like life is a journey. Life is about figuring it out. So if you want to figure out your life, you have to actively participate in that. You can't passively participate in, social media and be like, oh yeah, I'm getting to the bag when you're retweeting what the fuck Ari and Moneybag Yo was saying all day, bro. Like go out and find some shit that you want to find. Go find some knowledge you want to find. You can do it. You are the captain of your own fate, my nigga. Like you can do this. So you just need to go out there and find it. And that's what all this is about. That's what all these examples is about. It's just about reminding you that you are in control of this shit and you can go get it. It's up to you. It's up to you. But speaking of go getting, like, so we've mentioned for stackers only a couple of times, but I really wanted to get into it and just talk to you about, where did for stackers only come from? Like, at what point in your life? Like, what? Not
let's
excuse me,
see.
not at what point in your life, but where where did the idea come from, and what inspired you to really, fulfill
First, it
it,
came from
manifest it?
Hugo always saying like stacking, 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 stacking. Because I've always had that motto: always stack your money, always stack your money. You know, stacking
Mm-hmm.
is a word. That's a word that's been in my dictionary, my vocabulary for a long time. And so when he's, started putting an emphasis on it like every day and stack don't lack and all that, I was just like, and I kind of want to do something with that. So I talked to him and I told him about the idea that I came up with. He's like, yo, that's dope. Like, to put out free information for people and kind of like have somewhere they can put all this together. And so summer of 2019, I kind of put it together and I really didn't drop it until September. I just kind of dropped the email list and kind of had some emails.
Mm-hmm.
People was kind of fucking with it.
Like
And so
teased it
I
a little
dropped the
bit.
and I dropped the website and people loved it, and the rest is kind of history. It's a free source for everybody to kind of use. And really like 90% of the links on there are links that I dropped out of my computer, like bookmarked links,
Mm-hmm.
links that I had just in my pocket app that I had saved.
They're
And I
great.
had
They're
this,
honestly great. Coming from me being on the site and me being subscribed, like for stackers only, like it's a great website. Those links are great. You did an excellent job on it.
thank you.
Yeah, you did an excellent job. But
And
continue.
I try to add links as I go. My life
Hmm.
is just really, really busy and hectic. So it's hard for me
Yeah.
to keep up with FSO and everything else that I do. And because, this is the part where they don't understand, they don't see, they're like, oh, you do so much. And it's like, okay, I got to work at 8 a.m. today. I got off at like 8 p.m.
Hmm.
I chilled for a little
Sheesh.
bit and then now I'm doing the podcast right now. This is like every day. When I get home, I'm either doing homework or I've got to call somebody or I got to do something. There's always
This
something
just
that
never
needs to be
stops,
done.
man. It
It
never
just
stops.
never stops. And so like my whole days, like even when I have weekends, like my weekend, I'll be in my head like 2 or 3 days before the weekend. I'm like, okay, I got to get up. I got to get my hair done. I got to go here. I got to go
Hmm.
drop this off. I got to go to Home Depot. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got an appointment at 4 o'clock. I gotta do this. I can swing by there, and like before I know it, my whole weekend is gone and I'm back at work. And then I'm at work trying to figure out, okay, well, when I go on lunch, I can knock this phone call out or I can do this and I gotta contact this person. And it's not that I don't like it because I do.
Hmm.
It's just that it's not always fun, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's not at all.
I love being productive, but it's not always fun when sometimes,
And
like
that's where discipline comes in.
yeah, and that's where the discipline comes in because like a lot of times like I work on the weekends and a lot of times I want to just lay on my couch and watch college basketball or watch college football
Just
and
chill
like
all
do
day.
nothing all day and I don't have that luxury because I myself am obligated to go take care of this and this. And like, I have my self-care times like every week I make it a point to hit the spot. Like I hit the spot every weekend because I
That's
work
good.
so
Yeah,
much.
that's a great
But
practice.
yeah, every weekend I go to the spa. That's my gift to myself because I don't go out. I don't spend money on frivolous things and things like that. But I book my
Biggest,
spa
yeah.
day every week. Yeah, and it works for me.
Yeah, that's good. Everybody listening, you should have one day where even if you know you can't get a half a day, just a night where you find
Look,
something to do to
I get
relax.
like 3 hours every weekend. I'm at the
Mm-hmm.
spa.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is off,
Need it.
and I'm getting a foot massage, a full body massage, scrub, all of that. I'm chilling, and like
Need it.
it works. It works for me because like I'm on my feet all day between film. When I'm not doing film, I'm driving for dollars. I'm at one of my mobile homes, or I'm looking for land, or I'm at the house hunched over my computer looking for something, or I'm trying to always make
You
something
know,
flip, always doing
it,
something.
always try to make something shake. I'm sorry. This is so funny to me because that's literally all I'm trying to do right now is just,
Well, once
you know
you
what I'm
realize you can make a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time, then you start to challenge yourself to
saying?
do other things. Like
And to branch out.
I challenged myself in at the end of 2019 to do one $10,000 profit day in 2020, and I did three of them. And so
That's
now
what's
I'm
up.
like laughing at
That's
myself
true.
and I'm like, damn, I'm trying to do three 20K profit days, just throw out something crazy. That way
Just to
I can
see what
actually
just to,
challenge
fuck with
myself. 'Cause I
myself.
didn't challenge myself with that first one, obviously. So now I'm about to really challenge myself. And if I fall short, that's
Shit.
okay because
I
it's a
still did
real
better than I
challenge. And it wasn't
did.
no,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it wasn't no bullshit. And so for me personally, a lot of people, they don't like the fact that I encourage people to work a lot and do this, do that. And I encourage people to unfollow me all the time. Like, if this is not for you, like, I encourage you to unfollow me. But, like, if you want to be great, you got to do great shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, great
Yeah,
is not
bro.
8 hours a day, clocking in, clocking out. You know what I'm saying? And being content with that at
That's not
somebody
how this.
else's
That's not how
company.
this
That's
shit
not
works.
great.
Like,
That's
I
not
hope
how this
people
shit
don't.
works.
And I hope people don't
Eh,
think that this is that my life is like that. Like, no, bro. My life is just as busy as
no, let
yours.
me
I've
tell
been
you something.
productive
I
all
want people,
day.
yeah, and I like people, and people don't understand it. Like, I've been in their shoes. Like, I used to work at this place called the Cheesecake Factory, not the Cheesecake Factory like the restaurant, but an
Hmm.
actual cheesecake factory where we make the
Like a
crust.
dessert. Oh, okay, okay.
We make the crust, like we shape the crust for cheesecakes, unless somebody else fills it up, and these things get packaged and they get shipped out to grocery stores all over and frozen or
Yeah,
whatever, right?
like a distribution center.
Yes, I used to have to go to work. Let's see, we was making like $12 an hour. I used to have to go to work at 5 a.m. and then I would get off work at 5 p.m. and then we get a 30-minute lunch.
Oh my god.
Standing up the entire time shaping like graham cracker crust for cheesecakes. Like,
Wow.
I worked in an Amazon warehouse before. I used to work at Waffle House before. Like, I've done it all. I worked in the restaurant industry from the time I was like 17 to the time I was like 25, 20, let's see, 20, no, I want to say 26, going on 27, 26. No, something like that. Because
That's
I
a
was
long time.
halfway into the restaurant industry, halfway into film. And like, while I was in the restaurant industry, I was taking those side jobs at Amazon and taking these little side third shift
Yeah,
jobs
and
at
just
these little
still
other places
constantly hustling.
because
Constantly.
I was like, damn, I gotta get some more money. Like, I gotta get some more money. This
Yeah.
shit's not like, because I was bartending and stuff, but like when you bartending and you make like 150 here, 150 there, and then Friday and Saturday come, you making $500-$600. It's not consistent. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? It's still
it's not
average.
consistent enough, you know what
You
I'm
still
saying?
making
Really
like you still making
factoring
like
in.
barely like 50K a
When
year,
you add
right?
up all the hours, yeah.
Yeah, when you add up all the hours you working and like, you're on your feet for that much. Like, I work the same amount of hours now and I make way more money than when I was bartending. Way less stress, way more benefits. Like, so it's just about figuring out, okay, how can I work smarter, not harder? That's one thing. Like, my aunt taught me a lot of things in my life. Like, shout out to her. She always teaches me stuff.
Shout out
And
auntie.
one of the first lessons she ever taught me is like, don't buy it unless you love it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just be out here buying shit that you like, because tomorrow you're not gonna like that shit no more, right?
Hmm.
But if
The
you
value
if
of
you
your
love it,
dollar.
right? If you love it, you feel like you can't leave here today without it, buy it. You know what I'm saying? Treat yourself, but don't just be out here, buying stuff that you just like. Oh, I like it. I kind of like this.
Don't be
Nah,
out here bullshit.
right? And she would take me shopping. I used to say that to her. She's like, "All right, put it back," and I'd be like, "No." She's like, "Oh, so you love it?" And I'm like, "No, I kind of like it." She's like, "Well, then put it back." And she taught me that lesson. You know, really like is there's valuable lessons in a lot of that stuff, and
It is,
you know,
it is what it is, and it's not what it's not, bro. Like
yeah.
that's a
It,
great lesson to learn about life because
the
you can't
second lesson she
dwell
taught
on
me,
shit that
yeah,
isn't
you
there.
can't dwell on. Exactly. The second most important lesson she ever taught me is work smarter, not harder.
Hmm.
Because I used to always say I'm work harder than all these motherfuckers, and I'm gonna outwork everybody. Da 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 da. And she was like, "Yeah, but you're gonna kill yourself. You need to work smarter, not harder.
It's
You
about
can work
how
hard.
you outwork them niggas,
Yeah." She
not
was
about
like,
how
"Yeah, you can
much,
work
but how you
hard, but you
do it.
need to be the she need to be the smartest worker in the room. You can work harder than everybody else, but just make sure you work smarter. You the smartest worker." And that really like resonated with me because I'm like, okay, yeah, you gotta outthink everybody, not only outwork them, but you gotta outthink them at the end of the day. The most successful people I know still wake up every day and do something. I'm not saying like you got to wake up every day and work for the rest of your life and oh I hate it here, that type shit. Because I love my job, even though I'm there all day. I love it. I love shooting
Hmm.
movies, love making TV shows. It's a great industry to be in. But it's like if
It's
you
still
think
work.
that yeah, if your goal is one day I'm gonna wake up and never work and just not do anything, that's good. That's great. That's a great goal to have. I got that same
Hmm.
fucking goal. I'm gonna wake up and do nothing, right?
But you
You
need to
have
do
to
what it takes to make it
understand.
attainable.
Exactly. You gotta okay. You trying to do that while you young and you a spring chicken and shit. What kind of work do you have to put in to get there? And then that's where people kind of fall off. We're like, I don't want to do that. We shouldn't have to do that. Yeah, we shouldn't have to work. Nobody should have
Well,
to
too
work. In my
fucking
opinion,
bad.
in my opinion, nobody should have to fucking work. Food should just appear out of nowhere like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory on the little microwave thing that they had. Like,
But bitch, this
like
ain't
it exactly. But this is in a fantasy world. People
like.
live too much in a fantasy world. Like I could say in a fantasy world, there's no women don't get, raped and children aren't abandoned or orphaned. But like we're not living in a fantasy world. We live in reality. So
Yeah,
you have to kind of focus on reality.
you have
Okay,
to
well, what
focus
can
on
I do to
what it is. Exactly.
yeah, not what it could be. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to say that, but people don't understand that. They're like, well, we should have universal basic income and reparations. And I'm like, yeah, I think everybody should get reparations. Everybody whose DNA traces back to Africa should get reparations. I don't give a fuck. Every
Facts.
single person. If your DNA traces back to Africa, you should get a check just
Need it.
because.
Come on, Moneybag Joe.
But you know what I'm saying? That's in a perfect world. We in a world where they don't give a fuck about that shit, right? So how you gonna get your family from point A to point B? You gonna keep complaining about the 40-hour work week and this
You
and
gonna keep
that,
waiting on
the
somebody to
minimum
do it for
wage.
you.
That
You
shit
gonna
is
keep
never
waiting.
coming. And every year they shit on niggas even more. Every single year they shit on niggas even more, and niggas is still waiting around for some magical fairy to come through
And it's like,
and
bro,
save the day.
and it's like people wait around, like a lot of black people especially, they wait around for help. But you do know there's people that have worked hard like their entire life and still haven't got it, still haven't got what they desire. So you really
Yeah,
think you finna get it waiting around when you could still do everything right and still not get there and still get set back and still have to start over? Like
yeah. And
it's a
that's not
fantasy.
even the main point. That don't got nothing to do with it. It's like in this world it does not matter. Karma, I know people say like I believe in karma in a lot of cases, but when it comes to like on a grand scheme of things, yeah, I believe if you do people dirty, dirty shit gonna happen to you. Does dirty shit happen to everybody that do people dirty? No.
Nope.
Do some people skate scot free?
Yep.
Yes. Is some people gonna forever get away with the horrors they've done to black people? Yes.
Hmm.
Get over it. That's life. You know what I'm saying? So how can you figure out how to get your family out of this situation? You say, okay, I can literally sacrifice myself. And I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this statement, and I don't want them to agree with this statement. I don't care if they do. You know, they can live their life how they want to. But if you sacrifice yourself for one generation, you can change the entire trajectory of your entire family.
For 5 6 generations, that's one of my
Yes,
goals. Like
for forever.
that's how I think about it. Like if I like because I'm a college student. It's 9:30. I don't even have class tomorrow, so
Hmm.
I should be out partying or you feel me trying to get in
No,
between
you shouldn't.
gigs or
When I
something.
was in college, you know what I was doing?
This
Figuring out how to
something
use
like this.
eBay, figuring out how to use Craigslist. I was on the internet. Like me and my friends was on Twitter. Like I created my Twitter the summer after high school. We was on Twitter talking to random ass people who now are rappers, athletes, hedge fund managers, traders, like, because everybody was just on Twitter like, oh, this is a new site. Like, what is this? You know?
Mhm.
And we was just on I don't know if they still have it, but on Friday nights we used to sit in the dorm, we'd be on chat roulette and be talking to random ass people in other countries and just be on
I
Twitter
heard
and
of that.
stuff.
I heard of that before.
Yeah, and it'd be random people, and it sometimes be some weirdos on there, but it'd just be like, oh, a chat roulette, and you meet some like two random people in another country, and y'all just start talking. Like, I remember one time we got to talking, it was like 5 people in an LSU dorm room,
Oh
and they
wow.
was like, hey, what school y'all go to? We was like, yo, we go to Georgia Southern. Like, yo, we go to LSU, and like, so we just started talking about like parties on
That's
campus, and it's
lit.
just
That's
so
lit.
random. And then we just got off we chat roulette, like we just hit. All right, see y'all later. Hope y'all have a good night. Like 3 hours later. And they was turning up in their dorm room. We was turning up in ours. But like, I'm not gonna say don't go out, don't have fun. Everybody have fun different ways. My idea of fun is different from everybody else's idea of fun, right? But there comes a point where you gotta put that fun to the side and
Exactly.
realize, okay, I gotta do something different than everybody else.
Because if
Like,
you want to
let
get
me
somewhere you never been, you got to do some shit you never done.
yeah. I mean, I'm 28 years old. A lot of the people that I was in college with or da 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 da, they just now trying to get on the shit that I was getting on when I was like 23,
Hmm.
24. Like,
Behind the
we should be
curve.
doing this. And let
Because
me go.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm living life. I'm living life at 20. I'm living life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about
And
that.
it's not, I don't want to say it's sad to see, but it's almost, I don't want, it's not funny. It's just,
It's
it's
just,
wild. Cause like,
you could have
people
been
that
here
you went
with
to
me.
college with, yeah, people that like, and I'm a year younger than the year I graduated with because I had a late birthday.
Hmm.
And so they made me start school a little bit. They tried to make me start school later, but my mom wouldn't have it. So like I turned 18 after I graduated college. So when I was in school, everybody was always like a year older than me. And so like it's women that I noticed like 29, uh, you know, maybe got a couple kids or maybe has a kid or just now getting into a new career. Dudes that I know, just got finally got a career or whatever, and now they're like, yo, I think I'm gonna hop into this or I'm gonna start this. There's nothing wrong with starting trading. Like, there's nothing wrong with starting anything at any
Yeah,
age.
at least you're
But it's just,
starting. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, at least you're starting. But
Like,
it's
props to
just
you.
insane to see the trajectory like of how everybody kind of went,
Mm.
and everybody that was doing the same thing that I was doing, like, getting into tech or,
It's
looking at
insane to
other
see the
options.
return on that investment that y'all
Yeah.
invested, like that
Everybody
time
of my friends
invested
that got
y'all
into like
invested.
real estate and like got into like anything real estate related or
Hmm.
investment related
They up right now.
is up right now, right? And
Cool.
then I got people that I went to school with that maybe stayed and was a fifth year, was there for 5 years, you know what I'm saying? Or, they kind of had to transfer to another school and finish up somewhere else, or they had to do something else, or like
Hmm.
they just going through stuff after school and they was jumping job to job and they was always
You
partying
know, just
and they
life
was,
happened. You know, their
yeah.
trajectory just changed, and there's nothing
And
wrong
they
with
just,
that.
yeah, and they just stopped going to spring break at college like 2 years ago. Like we 28, 29 years old and they just now stopped going to spring break,
Like they're just
and
breaking
now
free
they
of those
like,
cycles.
yeah, and it's just like it's insane to see how fast people move along other journeys and how slow people move along. Because you know how you have 30 people that are in their like about to be 30 that
Hmm.
just want to open up their first investment account, and then you have me who I've had an investment account since I was in my early 20s, and I've always had this idea of doing everything that I'm doing now. Like, I've always wanted to do. Besides, I would say I never knew about mobile homes when I was 21, right?
Hmm.
uh I knew about vending machines. Vending machines has always been something I wanted to get into since I was like a little kid,
Yeah, I
going to
remember
the
you
hair
talking
salon.
about that on the timeline one time. I remember that thread. That was a nice
Yeah, since I wanted to be like a little, since I was a little kid, I used to sell candy. So I was like, the next step up
thread.
from
Hmm.
selling candy
Yeah, the
was
vending
be a vending
machine.
machine. I just never got one. I'm still got to hook up with Marcus to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
my first
I
vending
got his
machine.
book. I got his book. It's good. It's good.
Hmm. And so it's like there's a couple of things like I never saw myself getting into. Like, I always knew I'd be in real estate. I didn't know I'd be like flipping raw land. So it
Hmm.
gets pretty intricate. Like, I always loved the movie industry, and I always knew like I want to do something in movies like stunts or something crazy.
Yeah.
And then I got into the industry. I never knew I would be in like on-set electrician or lighting technician. I'd be programming lights and doing
You
something
never
like that.
thought.
Like, I never knew that that would be my job title, and that would be something I even would remotely want to do, right? So,
Hmm.
as you grow up, you evolve, you change, you learn new things. But as far as like, okay, if I was to look back, look forward, be like, oh, would that be me? Yeah, I could see me doing everything that I'm doing right now because I've always been like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's just you. You just always been being yourself, and this is just who you turned out to
Yeah,
be.
this is just myself. It's never nothing I ever like, oh, I
Mhm.
want to do more. I want to do this. I want to do like I always just been like, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do
And
that. I'm gonna do that. I'm
and
gonna do
that's
that.
all
I
it's
don't know how I'm gonna
about.
figure out how to get the time to do it, but I'm gonna do that.
And that's
and
all it's about, man. Just living the life
hmm
that you want to live. Like you're just becoming the
and
person you
knowing
want to
your
be.
limits,
Yep.
knowing your own limits. Like I encourage
Being
people. You
honest
see
with
it all the
yourself.
time. Like you're not gonna be like me. You're not gonna be able to wake up at 6:30 a.m. and be at work at 8 a.m. and work a 12-hour day, shooting movies and, being all over carrying equipment and doing all this extra shit in the film industry, and then come home and write emails or write a paper, right?
Yeah.
And still have like if somebody
Energy
call
to
you
work on
like,
something else.
yeah, no, and like energy for people. Like my
Yeah.
sister called me and she wanna just gossip, you know, or my grandmother called me and she wanna gossip and I really gotta listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. You gotta listen to grandma.
it's just
Grandma. Mm-mm.
and it's just like people. I tell people this is not for the weak, but if you really truly in your heart this what you want and you're willing to go for, okay, this is what I want to literally change the trajectory of my family forever. I want my kids to never live like I had to live. I want my grandkids to not even know what poverty is. They go, poverty,
Like
what's that, type shit. Like
stunt on it. Just
I
like
yeah, not even a stunt, but it's like I don't want my like I knew what evictions were when I was in like third, fourth, fifth grade. Like we was
you,
getting
you,
evicted a lot when I was
you
a
don't
kid.
you don't want your kids to experience stuff shit like that. It's very traumatic.
Yeah, if my kid knows anything about that, I want them to know from a helping standpoint
Yes,
because they're
exactly.
helping people avoid situations like that.
Mm.
Not because they're the ones getting evicted. Like when I was a kid, we was always getting evicted. We welfare, food stamps, all that stuff. Like I don't want my kids to have to deal with that, and I don't want my grandkids to have to deal with that, and I don't want them to be in a situation where they have to choose. Because you like when you poverty is a whole, it's like a whole, it affects everything that you do. It
Yeah,
affects the
it's not
decisions
it's
that
not
you
just
make.
one part of your life. Like
Yeah.
it's a mindset you get stuck in. My therapist tells me, she says, you've been having to survive for so long that you really just don't know how to live. Like poverty wires you
Hmm.
for survival. It doesn't wire you
Yeah.
to live and
You
experience.
got you got kids that live in like poverty, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
get scholarships to go away to school, but they're like the primary caretaker of their family. They may raise all their younger siblings. So
Exactly.
they decide not to go to that school and get that great education, which in turn helps that poverty cycle, right? Another perfect example, you have an internship, an unpaid internship, which I think these are fucking racist as shit. I don't care
Yeah,
what anybody
yeah. I
says.
hate
Unpaid
unpaid
internships,
internships.
they're racist as shit. But anyway, you have an unpaid internship and you have a white kid who comes from a well-off family whose parents all pay all their bills and will always take care of them,
Mm-hmm.
versus you have a kid maybe from a black kid from a low income neighborhood who can't afford to take a unpaid internship because they got student loans to pay off, they got this, they got that, right?
You got to work to
And
feed
so
yourself. Like, how am I gonna have time to
so
work my
this is
real
how
job?
poverty affects your decision making. Instead of you taking that unpaid internship at a great company that will set you up with a six-figure career later on in
Yep.
life, you can't take that position because you can't pay your bills and eat right now.
You're not in the
And so like
position to maximize your opportunity.
poverty literally influences every decision that you make. Like poverty, has links to obesity, and like a lot of people don't realize that. Like when you are poor, you will stop at McDonald's. Like I used to stop at Wendy's every night after work and get uh, a junior bacon cheeseburger and some fries and a water. That's like barely $3. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Like you eat a lot of unhealthy
Versus
food.
you eat a lot of unhealthy food, and I lucked out. I didn't gain a lot of weight from eating Wendy's at night, but off the dollar menu. But like if you think about it, like poverty has links to obesity, poverty has links to
Anxiety, depression.
mental health issues because it all affects you. Like when you poverty literally gives me, I literally have like PTSD from
Yeah.
living in poverty. Like if there's anything like, and I'll tell anybody any of this, Like I literally, my hair used to fall out from like financial stress because I never, ever, ever, ever want to get evicted ever again. Have
Yeah.
marshals come knocking on your door and just start picking your shit up and throwing it outside. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's so bad. Like I'm real bad. If I hear a door open or close in my house, I have to go look and see what it is. You know,
yeah,
I
it's just
can't.
little things like that, or like having your utilities cut off. Like I pay my utilities like months in advance. It's so bad that like Georgia Power
God,
owes me like $300 right now, and every time my bill comes, they just deduct it from that because I used to pay them so much because I used to think I was late on my bill,
yeah, I pay all
and
my bills all the
and
way
I
up.
and it wasn't until I talked to somebody and they realized they're like you have literal like issues from your childhood that where finances is like you're always gonna make sure shit is paid because you don't. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going through that shit ever again. I'm never ever gonna be
I'm
like
never
poor
even gonna put
because like
myself in a position.
because it makes you make different decisions. Like and like I tell young women like, yo, get your own fucking money, right? And I really want to stress this: if there are any young women listening, please like get your own fucking money. Why? Because young women, when they don't have their own money, their decisions that they make with the men or whoever they're dating.
Are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You broke up a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm like, when you're a young woman and like you're in a relationship with a dude and maybe he's like paying all your bills because you can't afford to, or maybe you can, or whatever. Like when you make your own money, you make different decisions in relationships. You may not stay with a dude that's abusive, or you may not.
It gives you more leverage.
It gives you more, yeah. And it's not saying that like, oh, all men hold money over women. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, as a woman, when you have your own funds, you make different decisions when it comes to men. You're not just looking at a man like in one way, or you won't allow him to take advantage of you in a certain situation. I'm not saying that all men do this. I'm just saying like,
No. We understand. We understand.
Yeah, as a woman, you just make better decisions that are based on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like they, people joke about like food, she got me in her phone as food nigga or some shit like that, and it's like, there are women out there that use men because they don't have it. There are,
Yeah.
Behind every joke, there is some truth. Everybody knows that. Just like there are men out there that use women for their bodies, right? We all know that.
Hobosexuals.
Right. And so you just have, as a woman, you have to be careful. You have to have your own funds because you never want to be in a situation where a man is holding money over your head, or maybe he's not holding money over your head, right? But maybe you feel like you can't leave a relationship that maybe you don't want to be in anymore. Maybe you just not really feeling him no more, right? He's not abusive. He's a nice guy. You just not feeling him no more, right? But you don't got your own money. So now you stand with this dude that you're not really feeling no more because
In
you
an
don't got your own
uncompromising
funds.
position.
Yeah, you're making, really bad decisions in situations like that. And so I always stress to young women like, yo, just make your own money, because when you make your own money and you got your own shit, you think a little bit clearer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You don't always, saying what you said, homosexuals. You always got to be spending the night over somebody's house when you got your own house.
Exactly. You don't always gotta go to somebody's house when you got your own house. You can be like, we can, you have a lot more control over any given situation. I would definitely say that, I'm not a woman, so I can't, tell it from a woman's perspective, but
no, it's just like
saying?
women, like, it's just like you want, as a woman, you want to have your own little bank account with your own money in it. Anything happens, because this happens to women a lot. Their husband dies or something, maybe the will wasn't updated, or maybe the insurance didn't go through, or something happens, right? Or maybe he was the primary breadwinner and he paid all the bills and now she lost because he did.
Yeah.
You never want to be a woman in that kind of situation. You want to always make sure that you can function. Same with dudes. I always tell dudes, because dudes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the same thing. You always got to be independent.
I tell dudes all the time. I'm like, look, you do not need to be getting in a relationship and handing everything off to her, or you need to share some of that load. You know what I'm saying? There's a joke about dads that be lost when they kids are left with them.
Yep, when their wife
that shit is real. Some dads be lost.
You can't really do. You can't let that be you. You can't let that be you, man. You can't.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared. I always say the best partnerships work when each partner is the best version of themselves. Like for any type of team to work, they always tell you you're only as strong as your weakest link. So you
Yep.
really want to have these good relationships with people, and you want to, be couples goals, and you want to have these fruitful relationships. You have to build yourself up first, which is why it's important to, like you said, be independent. It's also important to take breaks from dating to think about yourself and work on yourself. And it's also important to challenge yourself to be a better person and to do better things. So that way you can do better, so that you can attract better things into your life, and can live a better life.
Exactly.
Right? That's all. That's all that's about. But are there any other tips that you like to share with young women, especially young Black women, trying to navigate to
Look, get your bag. Get your bag. Don't wait on anybody to get a bag. Get your bag. Don't stop trying to get a bag because you want to be in a relationship. The relationships will always come. I tell this to young men too,
Mm-hmm.
because I got a lot of young brothers, and I got a bunch of I got two god brothers, bunch of cousins. I have a little brother myself, and it's like I always tell them, like, don't chase women. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Chase knowledge, chase your bag, be a complete you first. You know what I'm saying? Women will always be there. They will always be there. No matter if you 25 and handsome or 60 and ugly. As long as you got the knowledge and the bag, women will always be there. It does not matter, right? Same thing I tell women that, like, I tell women, like, focus on yourself. Always focus on yourself. The more focused on you are on you, the more focused man will be on you. And
As
if you that's
above,
what you
so below,
if
my
that's what you desire, then that's what you'll get. All you have to do is focus on yourself. And, like, the women that get out there and they chase men, they chase behind men. I'm like, let me tell you something. Every time that I've ever had men chase me is because I wasn't paying them no attention. And that's just that. And it's not saying, like, anything that, like, the object of your attention should be men, but, like, don't be out here thinking it's gonna be the end of the world that you're single. It's not.
It's
Work
not.
on you, work on your business. Like,
Get a
it's
hobby.
not a that's not a death sentence. I don't know why people look at that as like a bad thing. Like, being single is not a bad thing. Being single is, honestly, to me, I'm gonna say this in my opinion, for me personally, is one of the best things ever. Why? Because you are focused on yourself and there's no outside distraction. And I'm not saying that when you're in a relationship, that person is a distraction, but everybody knows when you get in a relationship, what do? You tend to make decisions that are not just based on you,
To
but you're
accommodate the
based
other
on
person.
to accommodate the other person. Perfect example. I know plenty of people that were in high school and they was in relationships and they decided to choose a college that their boyfriend or girlfriend was going to, or decided to stay home for school because their boyfriend or girlfriend was staying home for school instead of taking their ass out of the state on a full ride scholarship, right?
Yep, happens all the time.
Happens all the time. It's a dumb decision. Like, you have to make decisions for yourself. And I'm not saying be selfish, but, like, when you get in a relationship, you might not move out of state to get that job that you've been offered that's going to pay you more money. Why? Because you're in this relationship with this person that lives here. And there's nothing wrong with staying, but you have to understand that when you're in a relationship, you're going to make decisions that, may not put you in the best spot, but you're making it to be happy in a relationship rather than, I should take this job in this other state. This would be really good for my career.
Everything has a cost. Everything has for
Yep.
action. There's an equal, if not opposite, reaction. So for whatever you want, you got to give something up. So if that's what you want, that relationship, you can't take them long distance work hours. If you want to go work them long distance hours, I mean that long distance job, excuse me. If you want to go work that long distance job, all the way across the country, you're gonna sacrifice your relationship, the stability of it, if not its entirety. But you're gonna have to give up something. So it's all about knowing yourself and making the best decision based on what's the best for you, not what you think is best at the time, but what's going to be the best decision for you overall. Like that's what's important. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you on that 100%. That's what people should.
Yeah, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But I think what we do in this generation is we place so much emphasis on being in love and romance and relationship goals. Not that there's anything wrong with being in love, anything like that, but we place so much emphasis on it that we push everything else to the side. And then next, people be like, old in retirement age, regretting things of the past. I should have did this. I should have did this. And I'm not saying you should be so career driven, but I think people, if they focus on self a little bit more
They
and
would live more
focus on
fulfilling lives.
the lives will be better. You'll have more better relationships. You'll have more time to spend with people. If you could just sacrifice a little bit of your time and
For
better
yourself.
yourself,
For
you
yourself.
can spend all the time in the world fulfilling these relationships and having these long lasting memories. But what people do is they chase memories, and they chase all these memories, and the memories don't even be that good at the end of the day. They realize, oh dang, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did this. I
Exactly.
would have tried harder. You know.
And don't get stuck on nostalgia, like she said. Like, yeah, you gotta look at memories objectively sometimes. Like, was this really a good time? What else happened this day where I'm reminiscing about this? Like, be real. Like, a lot of your best memories with somebody happened on a day where y'all had the worst argument. So was it, was that really, your best memory with that person? Is that really something that you should be torn up over? No, you really need to move on and find you something more productive to do, because you can't waste time dwelling on that. You just can't. If you're trying to get anywhere, you just can't waste time dwelling on things that don't serve you. You got to take your time seriously, your energy seriously, and you really have to move with a purpose, and you have to do it in everything you do. Like, you really just got to embody that.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, Tara. I'm plumb at the end of my list. We really cover everything really greatly. I really appreciate how we were able to really kind of dig into people and really get down to fundamentals, because a lot of life is, in my opinion, is a lot of the fundamentals repeated over and over again, like tests. So I really do appreciate having you on. I appreciate all the knowledge that you dropped on us. Myself, I learned a lot during this time. I learned a lot from this podcast myself. So I really do appreciate having you on. And if there's anything else you'd like to add, please feel free to.
No, thank you for having me on. I just ask everybody to go to forstackersonly.com, sign up, check the links out, tell a
Please
friend,
do.
tell
Please
a
do.
friend, and y'all be easy.
And also, please stay tuned. Spring collection is going to be out soon. It may or may not. It's probably going to push more mid-April. There's going to be two main drops. There's going to be one big main drop on the website, and then another smaller drop that's also going to be on the website, but probably pre-orders or password protected. So that's all. That's it for the gang news. So as always, live grande. Hopefully you learned something during this presentation. If you didn't, that's on you. Listen to it again, grab a notepad, and try and learn something. Be blessed out there, live grande, get the most out of each situation. Put yourself first, and put yourself out there.